Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Agent's Playbook. And I'm excited today. Tim, we're going to talk real estate today.
Awesome. If you're excited, I'm excited.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
You know, we don't have an agenda for today, so this thing can go in many different directions, but
As it should. It's real estate.
there you go. Good
Yeah,
point. Good
yeah,
point.
yeah.
But fired up to get into this.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Tim's
Yeah.
not into social media as much as
I should be more.
we're going
but
to change that. for
yeah,
you.
that's why I'm doing a podcast with you.
There
Nestor.
we go.
I actually had a YouTube channel at one point in time and did some green screen
Okay.
introductions of me as a buyer's agent or seller's agent, and it's terrible.
That's all right.
It's terrible, but you have to try.
We
You
have to start. We have to start
Yeah.
somewhere, and
Yeah.
and you know, just as a newly licensed agent, you have to start somewhere. This world of social media and,
Yeah.
and things of that nature, YouTube, as you mentioned, we've got to start somewhere.
TikTok. There are so many avenues to go down.
Mhm.
And it's interesting because I preach it to my agents that I bring on board. And I also talk to different agents that they kind of turn their nose up at TikTok. I'm like, you do that. Because I know people my age that are on TikTok
Yep.
all the time looking at stuff. So go ahead and just,
Exactly.
go do things the old way.
Yeah.
I practice it or I preach it, but I don't practice it. And I see the people that do social media and they do it well. I'm more concerned that when I do post stuff, it's going to be, I put myself in a position of my friends who are brutal
Okay.
coming in and commenting on what I might post.
That's all right.
Just,
Yeah.
I get it.
You just be brutal back.
I get, well,
Yeah.
I have to be nice.
No, you
I
don't.
have to be
No,
nice.
you.
Now, behind
you
the
can-
scenes of these guys, different story. But
You know what? You can be brutal with tact. You can be tactfully brutal
I have to learn
back.
how to do that better.
Yeah,
Nestor.
I think you might have that skill.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
not that I would know.
Well, it's,
Yeah,
but I mean, there are some people in my office that they're out and they're food or they're much more creative and they're much more camera friendly and just open to that than I feel like if I was, hey, we're here doing this and here's this food and I put it on Facebook or Instagram, I'm just going to get filleted. And it's mostly from my friends back
But
east.
That doesn't have to be your MO. You know, you can talk real estate. Doesn't have to be. There are
No,
people. There are
true.
people that take other aspects of their life, whether it be hiking, being a foodie, whatever the case may be, and they've built a great social platform.
Yeah.
And they've gone out there and created a name for themselves or a brand for themselves, and people associate them. Oh, well, you're this person that does this, and you also
Yes.
can sell real estate, and I
Yes.
like you, so I'm going to work with you.
Yes.
But
No, and you're
Yeah.
right. And that is, I think part of it is if you look at what the suggestions are for social media, 90% is you being you,
Correct.
doing you things.
absolutely.
I don't go on social media to see people push their work.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I'm on there for.
Right, right.
It bums me out. So it's 90% of you being out, being you, and then it's so much easier to layer that 10% of you doing business out there because then people are, oh, okay, you did that. Hey, I'm happy for you. Oh, you
Right.
did this. I'm happy for you. It's not that you're getting beat on the head with that
Mhm.
all the time, but it's practicing it, to your point.
Right, right.
And it's bringing that into some of your hobbies, what you like to do, and just being comfortable with it. It's like anything else. You and I know this. Once you get past that hurdle
Mm-hmm.
of doing it for a bit, then you're going to be fine with it.
Okay.
So, right.
So I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit. This is
Uh-oh.
where you say, "Uh-oh, I know it."
Oh, is it time? Right?
So my putting you on the spot, you had mentioned earlier that you have agents that, that you are do as I say, not as I do kind of, or I preach to my agents this. So I want to talk about that a little bit. Why, if you're not familiar with social media and things like that, why are you preaching it? Do you feel that it's really that important or?
Yeah, I definitely, I think it's a pillar and I
Okay.
understand it and I've studied it.
Okay.
So
And this wasn't a mean question. or
No.
anything. I was, this
so
was really
so
me
you and I
extracting-
have had discussions about our passions for physical activity,
Mhm.
right? So we've both been runners, triathletes, hikers, what
Yep.
have you. And so I'm a firm believer that I couldn't get up here and tell you how to go train unless I've trained.
Okay.
So to that aspect, I've thought about that with some of the things I preach. I think part of it is that I've watched it, I've looked at it, I've studied it. So I feel like I know it without having to do it because I see what other people are doing.
So you're studying it even though you're not participating. So and I'll use this analogy. There's a lot of great coaches that were never great athletes.
True. That's a very good point.
That are much better teaching than they were actually doing themselves.
Sure.
And you meant it's funny. We did meet. Actually, our relationship probably bonded on that run. Trail at Torrey Pines. Yeah. We were running down the coast there, made it to the ocean. The last part of
the run to the ocean.
Yeah, we ran to the ocean.
We did.
Yeah,
it's only 3 or 4 miles, which it was, but there were a lot of hills and sand, and I hadn't run in I don't know what, like 5 years or whatever.
Right, that's all right. But in one of those things that's funny about that, because you talked about it a little bit when being involved in something and being able to teach it because you're involved in it. When we did meet, that was a conversation. Hey, I hadn't done this for a while, but because it's been done for so long, part of it is natural. It just comes right back to you.
Right.
And it's not nearly the same, even though there's been a big gap in there when you had done it to getting started again. It was definitely not the same as the first time.
Sure.
So
not even close. No, and I have thought about that. And with my agents, I'm very quick to say, I'm going to recommend that you're going to do something that I preach but don't practice.
Okay.
And I should.
Okay.
And I lay it out there. But I also then preface that, or preface is the wrong word, but I do let them know that I'm just not making up what I'm suggesting to them.
Okay.
So prior to the pandemic and during the pandemic, I just did a lot of studying about social media and what you could and should be doing.
Okay.
Because in my mind, I envisioned doing more of it.
Right.
So even to the point where I ended up getting a portable green screen, microphones, gimbals, whole 9 yards. I just never put those into play. I have a bunch of ideas how to use those, or how to use those, but I just never put them into play. And now they have technology. Their technology is such where you don't really even need to have green screens anymore.
Nope.
But I feel that, to your point, it's one of those things where I can teach. It makes sense to me. There's data out there to support what I'm saying. And that it's, again, one pillar of what you should be doing as a successful realtor to get your brand out there, to get your name out there.
So I'll throw this question out. I'm a brand new agent. I just got started in this business and I came to you. This is one pillar. This is one direction that you should be going. How many pillars are you helping them or ideally want them to build? And what does that look like?
Right. So that's a good question. So I think from my perspective, when I interview people, I'm a pretty hard interview.
Okay.
Because I start out trying to figure out what your end goal is.
Okay.
And working backwards.
There we go. And then reverse engineering.
Right. Reverse engineering. So during our conversations, I'm really kind of probing to figure out what your personality is.
Okay.
Do you have a problem with getting on the phone and doing cold calling?
Yes.
Do you have a problem with door knocking?
Yes.
Right. So do you like farming? Do you understand what farming is?
That's a maybe.
And,
yeah.
Right.
Because that one's almost a yes.
Right. Yes. And then, okay, what about open houses? Do you like doing open houses?
Nope.
So at some point in time,
I'm being 100% honest with you right now.
So it's true.
Yeah, those would be my answers.
Nope. Yeah. And then there's a part of me that is, well, do you really want to be in real estate? Because then we're going to have to figure out where you're going to meet your clients. So are you very active in different organizations and charities and functions? And would you be comfortable with networking in those aspects of your hobbies? Right? Because it's interesting. I suggest that people should always give back and volunteer,
right?
But not for a way to go farm for business.
Correct.
You do it because that's where your heart leads you. And then people will, just like any other business, it's like
that. That is so hard for people to get. I'm being 100% sincere here. My honest answers to your questions were the truth. I can't stand cold calling.
Yeah.
I did not like door knocking. I did them and I was all like, this isn't for me. I did not enjoy it. I'm an introvert. People don't believe me, but I am. And The no open
We'll
houses.
come back to that.
Yeah, open houses used to make me cringe as I saw people walking up towards the house.
Really?
I'm all like, please, just go someplace. I'm okay if nobody shows up for the 4 hours I'm here. Yes, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we had the open house, and yeah, I'm okay that nobody showed up. But it was truly that. And you talk about my career changed, and it changed because first of all, when I got into the business, I wasn't in it for the money. I didn't need the money. I was financially okay, and I was sitting there and I'm doing it, and I was filling all my time with just volunteering. I was coaching little league. And no kids, but I was coaching little league. I was here, I was there. I was part of another nonprofit.
Okay.
I was joining all these things, and people used to always ask, "Well, which one's your kid?" I'm just here, and I went through like the first 4 or 5 years of doing this, not knowing any of the parents because I wasn't there for them.
Okay.
I was there for the kids. I knew every child, every situation that was going on, and I had all of that. And it was funny. You get phone calls. Oh, hey, you coach my son. Oh, who are you? It was that much of a disconnect. But I bring this up because I was in that world of the nonprofit, truly because I was getting enjoyment from it, and that's really what I wanted to do in that world. The business did come. It did show up without me even having to ask for it. Because the parents talk. Who is that guy?
Right.
What does he do?
Right.
No. That's the, you can go out and pass out all the flyers you want and all the content that you want and things like that of you're this and that number one agent and all that, but there is no better endorsement than one of the other parents who happens to know who you are and what your story is.
Sure.
Sitting out there for the 2 hours while your kids are out there on the baseball field saying all these things about you and who that person is, because everybody asks, who is that person? And they get to know you through everybody else.
Sure.
And that third-party endorsement. And my business, I had a good business when I got started because I was still doing the things I didn't want to do. But my business really took off when I just truly embraced what I wanted to do and made it, it just happened.
So here's an interesting question for me.
Sure.
In situations like this, would you agree that people select realtors because of trust? They have to trust you.
One of them, yes.
Right. So to me, it's a key part of
yes.
I need to trust you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Selling my house, helping me find a house. So when you see a person that you really don't know what they're doing and you find out that they are a realtor and that they have to put together the fact that their kids are also active with your kids. They see you. You're a part of the social fabric of your community in that regard. And then also the third-party endorsement is great. But if you haven't done much business, there's always that aspect in my mind of, okay, well, what does Nestor do? He's a realtor. Is he part-time? Is he full-time? Does he know what he's doing? But if you can get the conversation, then people are going to trust you.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get in front of them, then you're able to demonstrate that you're articulate, intelligent, knowledgeable, all these things that as realtors we hope we can bring to the table. But that network is key, in my opinion, as far as being able to provide an avenue in.
Right.
What you're describing, however, isn't typical, right? Because there's an aspect of motivation.
Yeah, not typical in our industry. And don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I hated door knocking. I hated cold calling. I hated geographic farming, and but I was still doing it. I was still up in the mornings. I was outperforming my colleagues in door dropping and being in the mailbox.
So you were doing those things.
I was doing those things.
Okay.
But here's what's interesting is I honestly think in this business that people can see when you're not enjoying something.
Yeah.
So I'm sure people could knock on the exact same doors that I was knocking on and have better results than I had, because when that person opened the door, it wasn't that I didn't know what to say. I got my scripts down just fine. I have my objection handling down just fine. I just didn't like it.
Right.
And that shows.
Yeah. You're hoping they don't answer the door. You're hoping they don't answer the
I
door.
honestly was.
So you can go to the next one and hope
Yep.
that they don't. Oh, I hear a dog. I'm going to the next one. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's a sign, no solicitors up. That's me.
Yep. 50 doors a day. I'm good to go. And nobody answered.
Did you knock? Well, actual knocks or attempted knocks.
Right.
No, it's. I think what's interesting is what you described, and you said a couple of key things. One is that when you ended up getting into real estate, you didn't have to do it for the money.
Mm-hmm.
A reason to want to go and do real estate, but the motivation is key. So
Right.
even if you didn't need the money, you still had some kind of
I was
drive.
motivated. Oh,
Yeah.
So once I had a client and I was comfortable with the person, all day,
Yeah.
every day. So I had no problem showing houses.
Right.
I had no problems with the people being in the car and us going from house to house. My very first client probably talked her out of buying the house 5 or 6 times and kept showing property. We probably saw well over
You're
300
doing a
houses.
takeaway sale. No, but I do want it. No, you don't. No, you don't.
No.
She's walking away going,
Right.
all right, this is the weirdest realtor I ever met. It's like,
Exactly.
he doesn't want me to buy this house.
No, we still haven't seen these other areas that you were talking about. We have 10 other
Yeah.
cities to look at.
Hey, pal, have you ever heard of first ball, fastball?
Yeah.
No.
No,
Yeah.
She
That's right.
literally, this is hilarious. She literally bought, she was in an apartment complex here in Irvine, and she literally bought a condo that was 800 yards away from where she lived. But the other 300 houses I showed her, we were all the way down through San Clemente, which for those of you who don't know, that's 30 minutes away from here.
Yeah, another cool
And-
beach town.
And we were in every city between here and there, Inland Empire. We were like, I got it all covered.
So you were taking my approach of, well, let's figure out where you don't want to be.
Right.
And then that can help you where you do want to be. You took that too.
Oh yeah. Are you sure?
Yeah,
Are you sure?
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Let's cross that one off the list.
So I was motivated. I worked hard and all of that. But and the only reason I bring these things up is that I truly believe this business can be built in a lot of different ways.
Sure.
And I think that that's one of the things I disliked when I first got into this industry was being pigeonholed into you got to go door knock. And I remember, I got in and it was VHS tapes popped in, and you're going to watch this Mike Ferry guy, and you're going to go door to door, and you're going to knock on the door and say, are you thinking about moving now or anytime in the near future?
Yeah.
No. Fantastic. If you were thinking of moving, where would you go? Well, we're not moving. Wonderful. But and you go along that script,
Right.
and you do it enough, and somebody's going to say yes. And that's what my broker was teaching me. And I'm like, that's not fun.
Yeah.
That's not,
Yeah.
it's not the way I wanted to build this business. And one of the things that's fascinating to me now is just social media is one aspect. I've seen
Mhm.
people build a great business on the back end of social media.
Yes.
They
Yes.
enjoy.
And you hear people talking about that
Mhm.
their business is primarily coming through social media. But I notice they're not people at my age for the most part. They're
Okay.
people at a younger age
Yeah.
that their audience is also at a younger age.
And here's what I would say to that. That means that there's way more room for us.
There's no doubt about it.
Because we are not competing.
Yeah.
We are not competing against as many people that are really walking into this business now. Because here's the flip side of it is I had an agent walk in the other day. How are you going to build this business? Well, I'm an influencer. And I said, okay. I go pop up the social media. Okay. 100 and something followers on TikTok and another 100 and something on Instagram. I'm all, dude, you're not an influencer.
No.
Unless I'm missing something.
How about influencing me how you're going to go out and get business?
And okay, here's the deal. We got a long way to go before this is going to show up as a paycheck for you
Yeah.
in the business.